Few figures in modern anime loom as large, or as unnervingly potent, as Ryoumen Sukuna, the self-proclaimed king of curses. Once a human sorcerer of unparalleled might, his death birthed 20 cursed relics whose scattered fragments now threaten to unravel Jujutsu society itself. In this analytical deep dive, we'll trace Sukuna's mythic origins, dissect the cold intellect and sadistic curiosity that fuel his reign, and explore the philosophical undercurrents, chaos versus order, the Jungian shadow and Nietzschean fate, that make him a uniquely terrifying foil to our heroes. Prepare to confront the darkness at the heart of every soul as we unravel what it truly means to wield absolute power without conscience. Mythic origins and historical context. Ancient king and curse. Sukuna was a human sorcerer over 1,000 years ago, renowned as both a warlord and a master of curse techniques. After his death, his power became sealed in 20 indestructible fingers that today form the greatest threat to Jujutsu society. Legend versus reality. Over centuries, Sukuna's legend grew until his true nature, an unapologetic, murderous tyrant, was eclipsed by myth. This dissonance between legend and truth parallels how societies sanitize their most dangerous figures, only to be undone when the real monster returns. Psychological profile and core motivations. Ego and supremacy. Sukuna's self-perception is absolute. He views all others, humans, sorcerers, curses, as mere fodder. When Yuji first awakens him, Sukuna sneers, "Who are you, to call me cursed spirit?" Ch 33, rejecting any classification beneath king. Absence of empathy. Unlike many villains driven by ideology or trauma, Sukuna lacks empathy entirely. His violence is performative and capricious. He tortures allies and enemies alike to savor fear and chaos, reflecting a pure ID archetype unconstrained by moral checks. Curiosity and playfulness. Beneath his brutality is a cold intellect that treats the modern world as a novel game board. His fascination with social media, vending machines, and even anesthetic cartoons shows a chameleon-like curiosity. He collects experiences for amusement rather than growth. Mastery of curse technique and combat philosophy. Malevolent domain expansion. Sukuna's domain, Malevolent Shrine, defies conventional rules. It requires no barrier but instantly claims lives within its radius. This technique literalizes his philosophy. He disregards structure and revels in unilateral rule. Strategic sadism. He combines raw power with psychological warfare. Against Jogo he toys with scorching heat, reminding foes that even fire fears me, Ch 66, then casually extinguishes infernos, asserting dominance not just by strength but by relentless mind games. Adaptive combatant. Though overwhelmingly powerful, Sukuna adapts. He uses Yuji's physicality, Gojo's ingenuity, and cursed energy flow to refine his technique in real time. His duel with Gojo, Ch 237-238, reveals Sukuna's capacity to recognize and respect true challenge. Philosophical underpinnings and symbolism. Chaos versus order. Sukuna embodies chaos incarnate. In a world where Jujutsu seeks to impose order by culling curses, Sukuna's return reintroduces primordial entropy. His presence tests the limits of any moral framework, asking, can order exist when the greatest chaos is free? The shadow self. Jungian analysis casts Sukuna as the collective shadow of humanity, the part we deny yet cannot destroy. Yuji's clean moral slate is constantly threatened by Sukuna's intrusive will, dramatizing the inner battle between our highest ideals and darkest impulses. Nietzschean amor fati. Sukuna revels in fate's cruelty. He forces opponents to confront mortality in its rawest form. His line, "I'm here to remind you what death really means," Ch 212, turns each battle into an existential reckoning, compelling sorcerers to embrace their finitude. Relationships and narrative foils. Host dynamic with Yuji. Their bond is parasitic yet symbiotic. Yuji's altruism starkly contrasts Sukuna's selfishness, framing every conversation as an ethical tug-of-war. Sukuna admires Yuji's resilience. "You really are something," Ch 117, yet he remains fundamentally opposed to Yuji's self-sacrifice ethos. Antagonism with Gojo Satoru. Gojo is Sukuna's only true peer, two kings vying for supremacy. Their clashes blend mutual recognition. "You're the challenger," Sukuna tells Gojo, Ch 237, with ideological conflict. Gojo fights to protect, Sukuna fights to dominate. Influence on other curses. Lesser curses rally at the scent of Sukuna's return, seeing in him both liberation and annihilation. His mere seal fracture triggers widespread panic, underscoring his role as primordial disruptor. Evolution and narrative function. From prisoner to puppet master. Early chapters depict Sukuna as bound, reactive to Yuji's will. Over time he gains agency, negotiating conditions for his release and manipulating jujutsu politics from within. This arc mirrors a trapped ID regaining control and reshaping the world in its own image. Catalyst for growth. Sukuna's threat catalyzes unity among sorcerers, forcing characters like Megumi, Yuta, and Maki to confront their limits. In narrative terms, he is the crucible in which heroes are forged. Ambiguous legacy. Even if ultimately sealed again, Sukuna's impact endures. He reveals systemic weaknesses in Jujutsu society and poses philosophical questions about power, free will, and the cost of survival. Conclusion: the King's lasting shadow. Ryoumen Sukuna remains anime's most unsettling villain precisely because he is neither tragic nor pitiable. He is pure will, an entity for whom life and death are mere games. His presence forces us to ask, when confronted with absolute power devoid of morality, can any light truly burn bright enough? As long as the king's fingers remain scattered, Sukuna's shadow will loom over every act of heroism, reminding us that the darkest impulses lie closer to the surface than we dare admit.